Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Wolves. And yes, Wolves have finally confirmed the signing of striker Diego Costa on a free transfer. His contract is until the end of the season. Hopefully, things go well and we see him for much longer than that. As always, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on this signing. And it's one that I've warmed to over the last couple of weeks or so. It was just over a week ago, actually. I think it was linked rather than a couple of weeks ago. And it was David Ornstein from The Athletic who exclusively revealed that Wolves were in talks with Diego Costa. At first, it was to see whether Wolves could just see his fitness and get a medical done to see where he was at with his and a trial. But in the end, the news was that he was going to be flying to England from Spain to sign a contract and become a new Wolves player. Now, this has been a done deal probably since the end of last week, but due to, obviously, other circumstances, it's the announcement has been delayed. But today at lunchtime, we finally saw Diego Costa revealed as a Wolverhampton Wanderers player. Quite a nice announcement video with him holding the Wolves, which in his interview he didn't seem too excited about. But a really brilliant signing for Wolves. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can bring. He's a winner. You look at his record when he was in the Premier League with Chelsea, 52 Premier League goals in just 89 games. When he was at Atletico Madrid, just before that, 43 goals in 94 games in his first stint with the Spanish club. He's a two-time Premier League winner. He's won the League Cup here in England as well. Two-time La Liga winner, Europa League winner with Atletico Madrid as well. He's a player that has, got huge qualities. Obviously now with his age, we may see injuries, we may see fitness problems down the line. But if Wolves can keep this guy fit, I think on and off the pitch, he's going to be a huge asset to us as a club. Well, have a look at what Jeff Shee said about the deal, and he said, "We are absolutely delighted to welcome Diego Costa to Wolves and back to the Premier League. A serial winner with a wealth of experience at the highest level. Diego will bring something unique to our dressing room and on the pitch, and we look forward to his impact at Molineux and Compton this season." Of course, the signing of Costa is mainly due to the injury of Sasha Kalajdzic. We've got Raul Jimenez, whose fitness has question marks over as well. We're not too sure where he's at the moment. Kalajdzic, of course, with a major injury, unfortunately. So Diego Costa is now coming in. And that's what he mentioned about when he was signing for Wolves. He said, obviously, the club influenced my decision, especially knowing I will be able to adapt a lot more easily here. Not only from a technical point of view, the quality of the players, but also the fact that a lot of the players are Portuguese, and that will make my transition that much smoother. It wasn't in the best terms possible on account of a player's injury, which unfortunately I can only wish him nothing but the best. But when Bruno Lage told me about returning to the Premier League, since this is a championship I've related to quite a bit, always liked it and followed. No matter how much I enjoyed playing in Madrid, I felt discouraged, but this motivated me. It lit that fire within me. Now, of course, Diego Costa hasn't played since January, where he left Brazilian club Atletico Mineiro. He had talks with other clubs, mainly in Spain, in the summer, but that didn't come to fruition. So he's now joining Wolves, and you could say he's going to be lacking a lot of match fitness, match sharpness. But I suppose this unexpected break is going to give him a little bit more time to integrate with the team. We've got the fixture against Manchester City this coming weekend. We've then got a little international break, which will allow him more time to get that fitness up. So we've got a short stint now, and then during the World Cup is probably where we're really going to see Diego Costa pick up his fitness, pick up his sharpness, and then from next year, from January, or the end of this year rather, just after Christmas, we could see a real asset to the team. Now, I wanted to learn more about Diego Costa as a player and what he's been up to in recent years, so I spoke to football journalist Tim Vickery to get the lowdown on Costa. So, Tim, delighted to have you here on Talking Wolves with us today. How have you been keeping?
Very well, actually. Yeah, very well, all things considered. And looking forward to talking Wolves over the next few minutes. There's one or two questions I might have for you as well.
No, definitely no. Whatever you've got. Diego Costa, though, it's been spoken about loads over here in England, and I'm sure there's been some coverage over in South America as well. For Wolves fans that haven't sort of been keeping up to date with his career in the last year or so, how did he get on in Brazil? That was his most recent move, wasn't it, over in with Atletico Mineiro?
That's right, yeah. He was with Atletico Mineiro until January when he decided to pull out.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, they did the League and Cup double,
Right, okay.
So that's success, and they ain't going to do it this year. So that they had an absolutely fantastic year.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't as integral a part of the team as you might expect for a
Yeah.
couple of reasons. One is that they already had a centre forward, the fella that you'll know as Hulk, who I know as Hulky, kind of
Yeah.
reinvented himself as a centre forward back in Brazil and had a fantastic year and even won a recall to the Brazil squad at his advanced age. So there was a question mark about whether they really needed both Hulky and Diego Costa up front. So he wasn't as necessary to the team as perhaps he would have wanted to be, and also there were a sequence of kind of niggling little injuries. That's one possible problem from a Wolves point of view. The other, obviously, is his lack of match fitness, his lack of rhythm. But when he played, he did all right. He scored goals. I thought he would have more problems with the referees than he ended up having, because in Brazilian football everything is a foul. I really wondered how the referees would react to his approach to the game. But another thing that is really striking is how popular he obviously is and was with his teammates, and that's something that you see everywhere. I remember Diego Simeone, when he took over at Atletico Madrid. I think Diego Costa's out on loan, and they're on the team bus after a game when the news comes in from other games. And Diego Costa, wherever he was on loan at that time, he scored goals, and Simeone noticed how happy his Atletico Madrid teammates were for him. So he's one of those players who I think is very, very popular with his own teammates and hated by the opposition. And there's a story, I heard this from Jason Cundy with his Chelsea contacts, that day one of Diego Costa at Chelsea, can't speak English, grabs someone, I think it was Fabregas, as an interpreter and goes over to John Terry, the captain and the leader.
Yeah.
And Diego Costa says, I'm going to get into a physical battle with the opposing centre-backs. And I'd like to know, if it all kicks off, I'd like to know that I've got your back, that you'll support me. And John Terry just thought this was fabulous. So straight away, day one, he's won over the captain. You know what I mean? So that's part of the player who Diego Costa is. Now, it would be unfair, I think, to expect him to be what he was 6 or 7 years ago.
Of course,
he's coming up 34, and there is that little bit worrying layoff of a few months. So to get into the groove of a grueling competition like the Premier League, don't expect him to be the player of a few years ago, but terrific fella to have around the dressing room, I think. And imagine if you're an opposing centre-back and it's an hour to kick off and the team sheets come out and you see you're up against him. That's going to send a shiver down your proverbials, isn't it? So he's worth having around just for that alone.
Yeah, and with VAR now in the Premier League, it wasn't there back when Diego Costa was at Chelsea. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But I think Wolves fans are just excited to have that sort of character, somebody that is, he's a winner, isn't he? He's got a fantastic honours list already, and it is a young Wolves squad. To have that added experience is going to be huge for us as well.
Bruno Lage obviously wanted him, didn't he? He wanted him exactly. In, and that's important.
Yeah. So, and I think, like you said, with the fitness, I don't think he's going to be coming in and starting straight away. I think this small unexpected break might help him a little bit, a couple of just over a week or so to integrate with the team and so on as well. What was the reasoning behind him leaving Brazil, Tim? Was there anything behind that, really?
Yeah, I think, and certainly this is what he said, it was his kids. Now, this is quite common for Brazilians who spent a long time abroad and they've had their kids abroad. So their kids don't know Brazil, right? In his case, he's got 2 daughters, I think. When they come back, it's one thing being here on holiday. It's another thing living here, it's going through a bad time. And just that level of insecurity in the streets, the all-pervasive fear of urban crime. That's a shock. That really is a shock. Some of the things that England has maybe got less safe over the last few years, but still, you can wander around, and that Brazil, it's tough, and I've seen this a few times. It freaks the kids out, because for Diego Costa, it's going back to the land of his birth, but that's not the situation it is for his kids. So his kids weren't happy. And that's why he decided to. He might have. I wonder if taking the absurd privilege of trying to get inside his head.
Yeah.
If he'd been the main man playing up front, I wonder if he'd tried to argue, perhaps with his family, let's stay a little bit longer. But with him not being entirely as necessary as we were saying as he might have liked, I think that tipped it over the edge. Seeing his kids unhappy, problems adapting to the realities of contemporary Brazil. I think that was the main thing that sent him back across the Atlantic, looking for a team to fix up.
Yeah, I know there were teams. I think in Spain, was it Vallecano, who was in talks with possibly returning to, and of course, now he's come to Wolves, had to wait a little while to get his new team. Tim, if he could stay fit, how important do you think Diego Costa could be for Wolves this season?
Given the situation that you're in, and you do wonder if Raul Jimenez is ever gonna be the Raul Jimenez that he was.
Yeah.
It's obviously not a move for the long term, but in the short term, especially you'd imagine. Because you mentioned that he's just had one little break.
Yeah,
but he's got another one coming up for the World Cup, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So there's time there to get himself into condition, and I would hope that in the second half of the season, kind of January on, I would hope that not in every game, but just in little parts, I would hope he can make a contribution. And I think whatever happens, he'll certainly make a contribution off the field. He'll certainly be, because it's a group. And sometimes what happens off the field, the part that we don't see, that we don't have access to, sometimes that is very important as well. And I'm sure that the other players will relish having him around.
Yeah, definitely. And the younger, in regards to the younger players, I think in his interview today with Wolves, he said that he wants to be there for them. He doesn't necessarily want to be nagging them every minute saying what they should do, but he definitely, he's happy to be there as a tutor as well. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one, Tim. And no, I appreciate you jumping on Talking Wolves to tell us the latest about Diego Costa.
Yeah, well, what I want to hear from you, is the latest on your Colombian centre back, Mosquera. Because he's a player that I saw quite a bit of before he moved. And it's a player who fascinated me, and I'll tell you why. A few times I saw him, I thought, wow, this is a centre back, who's really interesting.
Yeah.
And then he had one game for Atlético Nacional. It was in the South America's Champions League, the Libertadores, against a team from Uruguay, Nacional, and they had one of those old-time Argentine centre forwards who's like they've been carved out of granite. Gonzalo Bergesio is his name. Tough competitor, and like an old style British centre forward, the ones that the old style number 9s. Not the Dougal John Richards, but something. And anyway, Mosquera had never come up against anything like this in his life. The standard in Colombia has plummeted. And Bergesio just bullied him all over the place. It never happened to him before.
Wow.
And afterwards, he wasn't the same player. And he wasn't the same player. And then he got sold. So I was always fascinated to see how he'd get on in a league where he would be facing those kind of challenges on a more regular basis, even in training, So how, one of the big things always in football is how do you respond? Because we're all going to have bad days. How do you respond to that? So I've been intrigued to find out how it's gone on for him for Wolves. But obviously he's had big injury problems, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's been holding him back really. he came the first pre-season, he had real promise. We looked at him and thought, wow, what a player this lad could be. And then, like you said, got injured in the pre-season. I think he got a cup game against Tottenham and he pulled up very early in the first half. And then he's been in the sort of 21s under 23 setup for Wolves. And I think he was disappointed because he was set to go out on loan at the end of this window to it was a top division French side, so it was a good level for him and a chance to get first team football. But Wolves couldn't get any centre back options in, and unfortunately he stayed at the club. But there's still promise there. I think he needs regular first team football, and unfortunately I don't think he's going to get it at Wolves at the moment. But I know when we'd signed him, there was a lot of hype around him in Colombia. So there's still plenty of time left for sure. But I think he just a little bit like Fabio Silva. We've seen him go out on loan to Anderlecht and do quite well in Europe. I think Mosquera needs the same sort of move, exposure to first team football, and hopefully, kick on from there, really.
Yeah, well, I think just training with Diego Costa will be good experience for him.
Definitely. I hope so. No, Tim, it's an absolute pleasure having you on Talking Wolves. Appreciate you coming on to talk about Diego Costa. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
So big thanks to Tim, an absolute honour to sit down with him to chat about Diego Costa. Guys, do let me know your thoughts on this signing. It's so good that it's finally been made official. Of course, we've seen leaked pictures. We saw him at Technal Village yesterday on his Instagram store. I even saw him yesterday walking up Whittick Bank on his own, which was a bit of a surprise to see. But yeah, really looking forward to how he can get on. I'm sure he'll be in the squad for Saturday's game against Manchester City. If we could see him come on the pitch, and even score a goal, that would be phenomenal. But Diego Costa is now officially a Wolves player. Guys, be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you all very, very soon.